Since time immemorial, Kashgar has been an important military stronghold due to its strategic location in the west of China. During the Cultural Revolution between 1966 and 1976, no outside visitors were allowed in by the government. The evidence of the tight military presence of those days can still be clearly seen in some parts of Kashgar today. Located not far from the borders of Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan, Kashgar is the second largest town in the Xinjiang province. We walked through several alleys in Kashgar in order to get to know this old city. There is an old saying that goes, "If you ever go to China, you must go to Xinjiang and visit Kashgar." Look at the lanes and bazaars. There lies the uniqueness of Kashgar. Maybe this is what the old saying meant. The faces that conceal thousands of untold stories. The majestic Idkar Mosque, which stood regal in the middle of town, becomes the centre for religious, cultural, economic, social and other community activities. The Kashgar we see today does not differ from the Kashgar of many centuries ago. You don't see much modernization here. This is what makes Kashgar unique. There's no other place in the world quite like it. Kashgar is a world of its own, separated from the outside world. The first mosque constructed in Kashgar over 500 years ago was not as grand as the Idkar Mosque. According to locals, a small mosque and a burial site were built in 1426. Kashgar and the Yarkhan leaders of the 15th century were buried here. In 1788, expansion was done with the money donated by a Muslim lady named Golerera. Since then, the mosque was known as the Idkar Mosque, a combination of Arabic and Persian words meaning the place for Eid. In 1801, another lady named Purwir Biyar donated for the expansion of the mosque and handed over a 40-hectare plot of land as a gift. A few years later, Muslims in Kashgar planted trees and made a lake to beautify the mosque. In 1876, the mosque added a room for ablutions, a minaret, and a student hostel, which could accommodate 400 students. When an earthquake struck Kashgar in 1900, the mosque was badly damaged. Later, with donations and the hard work of Muslims during the repair work, it continued to function as usual. The Idkar Mosque, built in the 15th century, portrays the identity and captures the pulse of Kashgar. With an area of 17,000 square kilometers, it is amongst the largest mosques in China. All things related to religion are referred to here. Since 1962, the Chinese government listed the Idkar Mosque as a protected historical building. Kashgar, which is situated in the west of Xinjiang, is an autonomous province for the Muslim Uyghurs. We were privileged to meet the Imam, Haji Sadiq ibn Sadiq, 65 years old. There are many Muslims in Kashgar, and they are free to practice their religion, like performing daily prayers and preaching about Islam. Usually there are 3 imams in every mosque in Kashgar. Every day Muslims congregate here for prayers. It is estimated that 1,000 to 2,000 Muslims perform their daily prayer in the mosque. It reaches 10,000 during the Friday afternoon prayer and 70,000 during the annual Eid prayer. Haji Sadiq, who had studied in Morocco, is writing a book on tafsir for the locals to refer to. Truly, knowledge is the greatest heritage for the Muslims of the future. Traditional arts are still widely practiced in Xinjiang. Since the Neolithic days, clay pots were produced in Hotan, Shachi, and Kashgar. Pots were used to keep water and were buried underground for extra chilling. Vases and ceramics are produced traditionally. For Mohammed Turgut and friends, this is their heritage. This is their life, and also an outlet for their creativity. After going through several processes, the ceramics are ready to be marketed at the Kashgar Bazaar. Besides the Idkar Mosque, the International Bazaar is another identity for Kashgar. The open-air bazaar is the heart of the economic activities for the local trader, and also traders from Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. We had been warned that we would only encounter dust, noise, and congestion here. But we just had to savour the atmosphere. In a report written during the Tang dynasty entitled Testimonial of a Witness in the West Province, stated that the bazaar held trading goods as high as the sky, and the customers were like a swarm of bees. Everything could be found here. That 1,400 years old report is still true today. Besides the locals, the bazaar attracts the Tajiks and Uzbeks from the Pamir Highlands, Kazakhs and Zibes from northern Xinjiang, and Russians from Kazakhstan. In the early morning, the bazaar is quite deserted, but as afternoon approaches, it gathers momentum. The shops open daily at 8 in the morning. Due to its closeness to the international borders, various goods from Russia, Pakistan, and Afghanistan are sold here. Headgear worn by the Central Asian Muslims are among the most popular items sold here. We visited the bazaar because this is the best place to experience Kashgar. This is our chance to get to know the locals. Language is never a barrier, as long as there is a calculator. Even with the arrival of the new millennium, Kashgar remains unchanged. Even though the bazaar may seem to be from a different era, it is still the largest and merriest bazaar in the world. Every Sunday, between 50 and 70,000 people will come here to shop. You'll be able to find everything here. The vegetable and fruits are the best and freshest from the farms. Hundreds of years ago, during the Silk Road era, Kashgar was the trading centre between the east and the west. Goods from China, such as tea, herbs, spices and ceramics, were brought here to be traded with glasses, tusks and jewels from Europe. This has not changed. Most Xinjiang men wear daggers. They are used for cutting fruits, meat and slicing tree bark. The handles are made of wood, brass, bone or silver and decorated according to the tribal motifs. The best daggers are made in nearby Yengisai province. Today the daggers are mainly meant for souvenirs for tourists to buy. The price depends on the size, craftsmanship and the buyer's expertise in bargaining. Besides being an interesting place to shop, the bazaar is like a cultural museum which displays the colourful life of the community. Xinjiang Muslims generally wear headgear. The Uyghurs' headgear has 4 corners with flower motifs. They are made of different materials and there is always a special one for every occasion. Even today, the bazaar is able to maintain its traditional outlook. Everyone is committed to preserving their heritage. While helping their family, these children are being trained to trade. They will contribute towards the Kashgar identity and cultural heritage. The Atlas silk is produced in Hotan and Shache. It was first produced 2,000 years ago, and its design was inspired by flying birds. The Uyghurs and Kazakhs are famous for their craftsmanship. Their beautiful works of art are seen on the items they produce, such as daggers, spades, and household items. Even though they started out as nomads, they are now well known for their creative work. The heart of Kashgar. The majority of its dwellers are Muslims. For many visitors, it's a unique kind of Chinese experience. The Uyghurs have proven that Islam is a tolerant religion. For years they have lived here amongst the rest of the Chinese peacefully. Kashgar is the last frontier for Muslims in China. It's the most important city for the Uyghurs of southern Xinjiang, and currently Kashgar is one of the leading destinations for tourists in China. For the Uyghurs, only Islam and their unique culture differentiate them from the rest of China. In 1965, Xinjiang was granted autonomous status as recognition of the Uyghurs. The pulse of Kashgar lives on. There is an old saying that goes, if you ever go to China, you must go to Xinjiang and visit Kashgar. Look at the lanes and bazaars. There lies the uniqueness of Kashgar. Maybe this is what the old saying meant. The faces that conceal thousands of untold stories. The majestic Idkar Mosque, which stood regal in the middle of town, becomes the centre for religious, cultural, economic, social and other community activities. The Kashgar we see today does not differ from the Kashgar of many centuries ago. You don't see much modernization here. This is what makes Kashgar unique. There's no other place in the world quite like it. Kashgar is a world of its own, separated from the outside world. The first mosque constructed in Kashgar over 500 years ago was not as grand as the Idkar Mosque. According to locals, a small mosque and a burial site were built in 1426. Kashgar and the Yarkhan leadership location in the west of China. During the Cultural Revolution between 1966 and 1976, no outside visitors were allowed in by the government. The evidence of the tight military presence of those days can still be clearly seen in some parts of Kashgar today. Located not far from the borders of Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan, Kashgar is the second largest town in the Xinjiang province. We walked through several alleys in Kashgar in order to get to know this old city. Since time immemorial, Kashgar has been an important military stronghold. Due to its strategic